Here we go. 3 steps to becoming a change agent, an author of change. 3 steps to becoming an author of change. That means someone who makes a positive and meaningful difference with their words, somebody who authors the change they want to see in the world. Okay, so it's you writing a change-inspiring or transformational book of any kind. So again, thanks for being here. Congratulations on investing your time in your dream of writing a change-inspiring book and making the world a better place. Now, you might be a change agent already, an activist, and a book is just one more tool in your toolbox. Or maybe you're a coach and you're creating change that way. But you may also be a writer with a dream of influencing readers' lives in a positive way by publishing a book. Writing's what you do, and your activism shows up on the pages of your manuscript. So you could fall into any of those categories. Now, you might want to write prescriptive nonfiction, where you provide a prescription, an answer, a solution to something, to a problem. You might want to write a memoir or creative or narrative nonfiction, or even a novel. All types of books can inspire change if the author, you, writes them with that intention. And if you step into the role of change agent, that's a necessity. But you need to realize that writing is not enough. There are many other things you need to do to produce a change-inspiring manuscript and get your book into the hands of readers. And if you can't do that, get your book in readers' hands and motivate them to read the book and then to take action, you won't have the impact you desire. You won't author change. To author change, your book has to get read, and then the readers have to do something differently. I've got a little book. It was actually a blogged book that I then turned into a printed book. It's up on Amazon. It's called 10 Days and 10 Ways to Return to Your Best Self. I self-published the book, and I never promoted it, with the exception of a few notes here and there on social media saying it existed, and maybe an email or two. And I mostly did this around the Jewish High Holy Days, because that was what inspired the book. It's for anybody, but the High Holy Days inspired it. The other day, a rabbi I know read the book, and she wrote this to me actually in a Facebook message. She said, "My morning reading was your book. Excellent, short, easy to read, and encouraging to act upon. Thank you. I wish I would have bought a whole bunch wholesale and handed them out to everyone. Everything in the book is essential." Now, obviously my book had an impact on her. I'm not even sure how she found it, but it made a difference in her life. But what about the other people it could be impacting? And it's not, because I haven't promoted it in any way that allows them to even know it exists. This just illustrates how writing a book and even publishing the book is not enough. And I'm not talking today only about promoting your book. I'm just saying there are 3 things you have to do if you want your work, your book, to end up in readers' hands and make a difference in their lives. I was lucky this book ended up in her hands and it made a difference in hers. I don't want to leave this up to luck for you. I want you to actually know that when you put your book out there, it's going to author change. So let's go through a brief overview of these 3 things I said that you need to do to author the change you want to see in the world. The first thing is you need to embody change. Embody change. You need to change personally and develop the skill to act as an instrument of change. Mastery of change is required to inspire transformation in others. You need to understand how people change and support their transformation, but you also have to transform as well. Now, no one likes to change. So how are you going to convince other people, in particular your readers, to do that? Have you ever tried telling someone how to change? Like if you have kids, your kids. You tell them they have to clean their room each week or do their homework nightly. You tell them to pick up the dirty socks and underwear, but nothing changes, right? Why is that? It's because they're not invested in the change. They don't have a good emotional reason or connection to the new behavior, so they don't bother, which can be very frustrating for the parent, right? I know this personally. Think of your spouse. Maybe you're trying to persuade him or her to take out the trash, or a coworker that you would like to finish work on time, let's say, and nothing happens. You have to know how to inspire and persuade them to change. What about you? How do you want or need to change to become a better leader and role model? You need to evaluate yourself for success as an author of change and determine what you need to change to achieve the results you desire. If your life, and you need to do that in your life and as an author and as a change agent. How are you going to influence yourself to become a leader, a role model, a community builder, and a communicator, for example? Because you need more than writing. And if you don't like any of these particular roles, you're going to need to figure out how to get yourself to change and take them on. For instance, I wasn't a speaker when I began writing, nor did I think I wanted to become one. I didn't think I'd want to be online training like I'm doing right now. I didn't think I was good at it, and I wasn't in the beginning, and it made me extremely nervous to speak before an audience. And I had to learn how to be a speaker. But speaking in person and online gives me the ability to gather a community of people interested in my cause and to inspire change. So I had to influence myself. I had to get myself up in front of audiences. I had to reach out to people who might want me to come speak. I had to do these things. I had to persuade myself to change, and I transformed myself into a speaker who's spoken now internationally and before audiences of 600 or more people. Now, I haven't always role modeled the change I wanted to inspire, and I've said you need to embody that change. You need to role model the change you want to inspire. So I realized a couple years ago that this was a problem. I proposed a book to a publisher, and it was about rituals. And I realized that for a variety of reasons, I wasn't using rituals regularly in my life. The idea for the book had come to me probably 8 to 10 years prior when I was using rituals regularly. And for a variety of reasons, the book had not been pitched to a publisher. So when this happened, and we were talking about the book, and I was thinking about writing the book, I felt detached from it. And I realized that I had to change myself. I had to make rituals a part of my life again. And the only way that I was going to convince someone that rituals were important in their lives was to demonstrate that for me to role model that, the importance and the benefits of daily rituals. And that's how I would gather a community around me. I have a colleague who's a former nurse and an entrepreneur, and she gained a bunch of weight a few years ago, and now she's lost it using intermittent fasting. So she started a Facebook group for women entrepreneurs who want to try intermittent fasting, and she posted her photos and told her story. She had over 300 people in the group, I think in like a week, a community of people ready to change in just a short amount of time. She role models the way to change and inspires others to follow in her footsteps. That's how she did it. So you have to ask yourself, what is the change that you want to inspire? And do you embody that? Do you role model it? Does it come out in everything you do that this is who you are? This is what you represent? If it's not, then you have some work to do in that area. Okay, the second thing that you have to do to become an author of change is to learn how to inspire change. You need to inspire change. So how are you going to do that? How will you inspire change? You're going to create a community of people interested in the change you want to inspire. Okay, so now that you know how to inspire them, you've learned how, you've thought about how do people change? How do I get them to emotionally connect with this change that I want them to take on? You've changed yourself. You're role modeling the change. Now what do? You create this community of people interested in the change that you want to inspire. You gather people around you who are potential readers and members of your movement, people who are interested in your cause. For this to happen, though, you need to build a platform that supports the success of a movement, mission, or cause. And I'm not just talking about a website. Simply stated, a platform is a built-in readership for your book in your target market that you create in a variety of ways, like blogging, social media updates, speaking, writing for publication, podcasting, sharing videos on YouTube or Facebook. Right? This is a way for you to get in front of your audience and become visible to them, to get them to, as we say, know, like, and trust you. You want them to know who you are and what you represent and how you can help them, how you can be of service. You may have heard a lot if you're running around in the writing and publishing area, you may have heard a lot about how to build an author platform and promote a book. I suggest that you use every tool available, traditional and online, and also creative modes of communicating, like a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live. This is going to allow you to take your inspirational message out into the world. And that means you need to become adept at speaking, writing for publication, blogging, social media, and things like Facebook Live. And you need to use these tools to inspire others. I know for some of you, this feels really overwhelming and out of your wheelhouse. So join the crowd, because most writers and even some coaches and some change agents, they also feel overwhelmed by the amount of things they have to do to create a platform, to create a community of people around them that are going to be interested in the change and feel inspired and motivated to take it on. So join that crowd, but don't stay stuck in it, because those who are stuck in that crowd feeling overwhelmed don't take any action. And they sometimes do take action, and then as time goes on, they get frustrated and again, overwhelmed, and they feel like it's not working, because platform building doesn't happen overnight. Your platform will not be built in 3 days or 3 weeks or 3 months. Often it's said that it takes 3 years. So for me, I learned about platform back in about 2002 when I sent out my very first book proposal. And an agent contacted me and said, I love everything about this, but I can't represent you because you don't have an author platform. It's the first I'd heard of it, because author platform was a new term at that time. And she said, you need to get people to know who you are. And when you have an audience already built in, a big publisher will take you on. But for now, you need to go to a small publisher and keep building your platform so that a bigger publisher and a literary agent will take you on. So I started building platform, and I did it for 8 years. 8 years. I went through, I think, 2 or 3 literary agents in that time, didn't sell a book. And I was about ready to quit. Matter of fact, I was sitting at my desk one day thinking, you know what, this is just not what I set out to do. I did not set out to do all this social media and speaking. I just want to write. I'm going to quit. I'll forget about the books. But I thought about how far I'd come. And I thought about my purpose, to be of service, to inspire change, to help people create what they wanted in their lives and to step into their full potential. And I thought, if I quit, then I don't do that. Yeah, I can keep blogging and I'm making a difference blogging, but I won't get those books out there and into people's hands. And that was my dream. So I said to myself, I refuse. I refuse to quit. I refuse to quit. I have come too far and I want to achieve my goal. So I embraced all these things because I knew that it was getting me where I needed to go, and it was allowing me to author change in the world. So for you, I want you to think of it this way. If you embrace all these different ways to create an engaged community of readers and people who want to change in the way that you're going to suggest, you're going to author change. You'll have impact. You'll have influence. You'll have influence with your target audience, and that's the audience you've gathered around you. You can promote successfully because you have someone to promote to. Knowing that, would you not also embrace these things and change yourself and begin to create that community of people around you who you can inspire? Would you not recommit to inspiring them, especially knowing that if you don't put your book out there, you can't be of service to them? They may be looking for your book and waiting for your book, and if you don't provide it to them, they go on searching. You cannot create transformation. So knowing all of this, does it not create a sense of urgency to get that book out there, to be of service and to inspire others to change? After all this time, I told you I started 2002, 2003, building my platform. I now have over 21,000 blog readers per month and about 30,000 connections on social media. For some of you, that sounds like a lot. It's actually not huge. It's not a huge platform. It's a small to medium-sized platform. But even with that platform, there are people who write to me that say that they have read my book or one or more of my books and that they made a difference in their lives. Others comment on or email me about my blog posts or my weekly emails and tell me I've inspired them and motivated them to action. I make a difference daily in this way, with my emails, with my blog posts, with social media posts. I author change in that way, and I sell more books. But to me, the important thing is that I'm making a difference. I'm making a difference in this way. And so I see all the things that I'm doing to create my platform as a way for me to continue authoring change. Matter of fact, I'm authoring change before my book even exists. So I want you to take action on the tools and strategies that you've learned anywhere at all about using Facebook, about blogging, maybe you follow me on my blogs and you read what I write there. Step into the role that allows you to author change and start now. Don't wait. This is how you begin authoring change before you write and publish your transformational book. That's how you inspire people and get them to be part of your movement or to take up your cause. Number 3 is to author change. That's the third step. Number 3, author change. Ultimately, since you've chosen to become an author, you're going to author change by writing and publishing a marketable book, one that sells to a publisher and to readers and has an impact on its target audience, on your community, right? The people who are now following you. Whether you want to write and publish a life-changing, organization-changing, world-changing book, you have to first evaluate your idea for success. Evaluate your idea for success. And you do this with a business plan for a self-published book or a formal book proposal for a traditionally published book. But as you create this business plan, the book proposal is a business plan. So we're just going to talk about it as a business plan. As you create the business plan for your book, you're going to be evaluating your idea and determining how to make it better, how to make it more marketable. A marketable book is a book that sells. If it sells, it gets into readers' hands, and that's how it gets read. So in this business plan, you'll be asked to do some things like a competitive analysis and a market analysis. When you know your market, you can actually begin to write for that market, and you'll do a better job of authoring change. So you may think you know your market, but be careful. By really delving in and doing an analysis and getting very clear on who your market is, you're going to discover some things, or you might. I had a client who was a therapist, and he said he was writing a book for single parents. And the more we talked about his market, because he was writing a book proposal, the more we realized that his market was just not, moms who were divorced or widowed, or men who, dads who were also divorced or widowers. The fact was that he also had clients, and he was writing basically for the people who were similar to his clients. He had clients who maybe had a husband, like a mother, and then her husband was traveling all the time, or he wanted nothing to do with parenting. Or the same for a dad who had a mother who maybe just was more interested in other things than being available for her kids. And so these were also single parents. And that changed the whole focus of his book. He had to go back and rewrite and use different stories in order to inspire and motivate his audience to change. Because if he hadn't done that, he would have been excluding a lot of people who would have read his book. I was writing a book about the Sabbath, the Jewish Sabbath in particular. I had two different, a publisher and an agent come to me. One said, can you make it broader? Don't make it just for, Jewish, make it about every religion that has a Sabbath. Another said, make it narrow and write it for women. Each time it would have been a different book and a different market, a different audience I'd be writing for. And there would be benefits to going either way. So you have to decide who your market is and how you will write the book for them. You have to know your competition. What can you learn about what other successful authors, what can you learn about what other authors have done successfully, what they've done well, what they've not done well? When you go and do some research on the competition, the books that somebody would buy instead of yours, you're going to discover that the authors have done a lot of good things, but they also may have left something out or done something you didn't think went over well. And when you begin to evaluate that, you can then craft a better and more unique book than theirs, a more useful book than theirs. And you want to do that. That's all part of this business plan. You create the business plan in order to make your book more marketable, to do an evaluation. Not that long ago, a few years ago, I saw other authors producing self-published adult coloring books for writers, but I didn't really think writers had the time to just color. Being one myself, I knew I didn't. So I created a book that utilized coloring and a lot more, but with the intention of helping writers achieve their goals. Not just coloring to calm down, but to actually achieve their goals. It included coloring, it included drawing, it included journaling, it included visualization. It was different and it offered value and it had a unique selling proposition, as we say in marketing circles. Publisher picked it up and ran with it fast. But that happened because I studied what was happening in that particular bookstore category and produced something that would, as we say, fill a hole on the shelf. There was no other book like this. Right? So you have to go into the bookstore and look at the category where you're writing. Maybe it's self-help or spirituality or business or activism. Know the category and what's been written there and use that information to help you craft a more marketable book, the book that everyone's been looking for. Maybe it's the book you've been looking for. And then you need to know your publishing options. What's best for you? And what's best for your book? What's best for reaching your target reader? Becoming an author of change, it requires getting the book out there, publishing it. You can self-publish. You can traditionally publish. You can even use a hybrid model to publish or get assisted self-publishing. And you can do more than one. I've chosen to do a little traditional publishing and a little self-publishing. I'm a traditionally published author who uses assisted self-publishing these days via my literary agency. Not mine, the literary agency that represents me. I've also published books on my own. So that makes me a hybrid author. So you don't have to choose just one path to publication. You can try a few, but you need to determine which one is best for you, which one's best for your book. How are you going to access your readers? How are you going to target them? And as you move through your life, after you listen to me today, pay attention to the ways in which you can embody change, inspire change, and author change. Writing for change is not just about writing. Even though you've chosen to become an author, it's about much, much more. Much, much more. And I hope you see that today. So I hope that you're going to go out and put to use what you learned here and that you will author the change you want to see in the world. And that's my challenge to you. Go out and author change. Make a positive and meaningful difference in the world with your words. Author the change you want to see in the world.